Yeah, I heard something recently that really surprised me, that Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles actually appears as a entity on Google Maps. So I went to check, and here we are in Google Maps. You see that? Skid Row. And here, you see here, this blue area is what defines downtown Los Angeles. As you can see, Skid Row is a not insignificant section of Los Angeles. Now, here's the thing. I used to actually go almost at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, to Skid Row. Except I didn't, well, back then that was our colloquial. I thought it was a colloquial term. Who knew that it was an actual real section that would appear on the maps? I'm going to show you where I used to go. And then we're going to take a look on Street View, so you could take a better look. Now, here's the thing. It's the wholesale district, which is part of Skid Row. And the problem is I used to go down there. I used to be a little bit wary. I used to park on an upstairs parking lot rather on street level, because back then there was plenty of homeless people, and I don't want to put my car at risk. But the thing is, now, even if you don't see a lot of homeless people right where you are or near them, although you most definitely will, right now the risk is you're going to get disease. I mean, there's an outbreak of typhus already. They're talking about bubonic plague, measles. Chances are low that you'll get them, but does anybody want to take that risk? Because people have already gotten typhus. So let's take a look here. I'm going to show you here. Here's where I used to go. This is this area here. And by the way, this Skid Row, I'm going to show you, is not very far away from, here, you see, City Hall, Skid Row. Here's the police headquarters. I believe a clerk at City Hall and an officer from the headquarters caught typhus already, and that's not even in Skid Row. It's outside. Little Tokyo Marketplace, unfortunately, that's in Skid Row. So I would definitely worry about this. But here, let me just show you. This is the best wholesale district in the country. But unfortunately now, it's right Los Angeles and Winston Street, right here, this intersection. I'm going to show you and it's still thriving, although it's, from what I already looked at the Google Street Level maps, it looks a bit more run down from. So you see here, easygoing wholesale. This area right here, it's like ground zero right here. Los Angeles Street and Winston is like ground zero for imports. Items come in from the Asia right into San Pedro, and off the boat they go right to the wholesale district here, which is in Skid Row. So let me get a little closer in. I'm going to show you a better shot. Yeah, right here, Winston Street and Los Angeles, and especially right down here on Winston Street on both sides. There's quite a bit of wholesale activity. And here, now right here, I used to do a lot of business with a sunglass company, and they sold me blue block sunglasses. Also, remember the Super Ginzu knives in the same area? You could also get that. You can get most anything. In fact, quite often I would just go down to the wholesale district with an open mind. I didn't know what I was going to get, and I would almost always find something really, really interesting to pick up and make a few bucks from. So now let's go to a street level view of just a few months ago of Winston and Los Angeles, so we could see what conditions are like there. Yeah, here we are. This is a Google Street Map from January 2017, so a little over 2 years ago. I'm assuming maybe the conditions are worse now, but this is where I used to go shopping. There's Winston Street. And this here is Los Angeles Street. Now, from Winston Street here, we're going to take a little trip straight ahead to Wall Street, and this is pretty much the center. I mean, there's other sections of it around, but this is pretty much the center of where I would go. So just real quick here, over here, there used to be a wholesale sunglasses run by Taiwanese folks. And the funny thing is, right across the street from them, I don't think it exists anymore, where also a sunglass place, or maybe it was, I think it might have been actually over here, kind of diagonal from them, was another sunglass store, very similar, run by Chinese folks, but from the mainland. And the funny thing is, they had no interactions between each other, so there was some sort of weird hostility going on. Well, anyway, so here, this is also where I would find lots of things. So let's go straight down Winston Street. Oh, now it says February 2019 Street View. So this is much more recent. You can see here, this is probably a homeless guy here, but there's also people there doing business. So you can see this is all wholesale. And here, inside these buildings here, it's like a it's like kind of like a beehive of wholesale outlets. Same thing on this side too. And here we go. Now, I'd say 90% of the wholesale merchants here, at least, were either Chinese, whether from Taiwan or from mainland China, or Korean. And most of the rest were either, I'd say, sprinkling of Middle Easterners and Mexican background people. So these are the ones that are being most affected by what's going on at Skid Row. You know, it's harming not white European people of white European background, because there basically are none there, unless there are a few customers, but people of these backgrounds. That's who's most affected, and I'm sure they're not too happy with what's going on. So here's another. Yeah, I used to go all up and down here. I used to just walk in, just see what's going on. Like one time, I discovered Super Ginzu knives. Remember them on eBay? That was a good deal. But this is before there was much of an eBay thing going on. This is like the mid-90s, I'd say, early 90s. When I used to go down there. So it looks a bit more run down from what I remember. Now, I used to go, now, at the time, I just call it, personally, I call it the wholesale district. My friends, to them, it was Skid Row, and actually that sort of worked to my benefit at the time, because I had some friends of mine that had some economic problems, so I told them, about the wholesale district, but they were worried, even back then, about going down there for their own safety. So I would pick up stuff from them. Now, I wasn't all told Mr. Goldenheart, come on, I got to go down there, take my time to do all this stuff. So, for example, they knew what I was doing. I would always add a little bit of a price increase on it, so I'd make a little bit of a profit. Like for example, at the sunglass store, if it was, if the glasses were selling for 10 a dozen, I would just charge them 12 a dozen, and the $2 would be for me. Wasn't a bad deal. I mean, a lot of times I'd pick up like 100 dozen sunglasses for them. So you do the math. But you know what? They weren't willing to go. I was. They didn't complain. And they pretty much knew, without me having to say, I'd add a little bit on. And okay, so don't give me any lectures like, oh, PJ, you're profiting from your friends. Well, you know what? My friends did pretty damn good for me going down there for them all the time. And I went down there for myself as well. And they knew where it was. They could have gone anytime they wanted, but they were worried about their safety. Now, oh yeah, right here. I could be wrong, but I think up here is where there's yeah, in fact, there it is. Yeah. That was an elevated parking lot, and I would always go up there. Believe me, even though I was just there for a brief time, always park upstairs because you knew your car was safe. Didn't like parking on the street. Then here, so it went. It pretty much went to here, to Wall Street. To Wall Street. Oh, well, I don't know what street the hell. I think I went too far. But anyway, this is the district. Let's see if I can get to Wall Street, because on Wall Street there was actually some good stuff too. But that was really there I was kind of worried. So I was taking something of a risk. I try to blend in by looking as dirty. I mean, instead of like cleaning yourself up to do business, I dirty myself down. I'm serious. You don't want to be super clean cut around here. Here, this should be Wall Street here. Yeah, there it is, Wall Street. So basically, yeah, here. Oh man, yeah, that's it. There's a parking garage. Yep. Wow, still only $5. That's what it was back then. So not bad. But okay. So here, this here, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff going on in here, and then up on this street here, yeah, 5th Street, you'd find some things. So this is, I mean, I would go further afield in this, but this was pretty much the center of where I would go. And on some days, I would just go down there with nothing in mind, but just to see what, just have an open mind. You'd find something new, and that's how I found the Super Ginzu knives, by the way. So that's pretty much it. I just feel sorry. Let's see. Yeah, this is also February 2019. Yeah, but the problem is now when you're down there, even if you don't actually see homeless people sleeping in the street, so this area here looks fairly okay. The problem is people have gotten typhus already. So I would definitely, you know what? I'm not sure if I would go now. I mean, just the health reasons, but even back then, my friends were worried about going down there. And so anyway, and finally, I want to sign off. I want to show you there's actually we saw that there's an official Skid Row section on Google Maps. I'm going to show you finally, I'm going to show you the Skid Row mural. Yeah, there's an actual Skid Row mural that might make you chuckle, but this really isn't funny for these people here. If you're going to work here, if you really want to be known to be in an area where disease has been spreading, no, I feel sorry for these people. Man, they were hardworking people too. I'm telling you, I knew them, especially the ones from Taiwan. I knew them very, very well. Worked with them for years, so let's take a look at the mural. Welcome to Skid Row. Yeah, this is an actual mural there at the outskirts of Skid Row, Los Angeles. You see, it actually has the official City of Los Angeles seal, but this was done by street artists, I guess, from what I understand. Skid Row, city limit, population, too many. Yeah, I think the problem is when you have this concept of Skid Row, where it's actually also an actual entity on a Google's map, there's problems there. And the big problem is the city itself now, with the way they're handling the homeless situation, with people living in tents on the sidewalks and disease. So it's too bad. The people I feel most sorry for are the people that working people, especially in a wholesale district, but also in other places too. It's Little Tokyo is actually appears in Skid Row as well, but they really need to clean up their act there in Los Angeles. It's not, just a reminder, there is a recall for Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles. Just a reminder to everybody that lives in Los Angeles. So that's sort of my experience with Skid Row. I actually do have some happy memories of it, but as I say, nowadays, I don't know if I would go down there, risking the disease factor.
Subscribe to the Dummy Funnies now!